When it comes to talking about Marxism and technological innovation, the conversation has been completely dominated by the idea of automation. What's going to happen when everything is automated and you don't need labor anymore? Now, here's something I was having a discussion with someone the other day. Now, by no means do I know everything about this situation. I want to start a conversation about it because I think it's tremendously important. And frankly, I think it blows automation out of the water in terms of technology and its relation to the working class. Right now, a bunch of countries are working on AI, and the big race towards AI is underway right now. The United States, China, Russia, Google, Facebook, and even to some degree Canada are now racing to see who's going to build an AI first. Now, on the surface, it doesn't seem like it's that much, like this is a regular bourgeois competition, but look at it this way. There's out there the idea called an AI singularity. That once an AI comes into existence, and it's able to increase its own processing power, it's going to be able to double its power at an astronomical rate. I mean, this even like not even counting quantum computing when that comes into existence. I mean, really comes into existence. The AI program will be able to upgrade itself and its own processing power. So you could be looking at a doubling of its intelligence within 2 weeks? And then after that, it can double it in a week. And then a couple of days. And then one day. And then several times a day. What's significant about this is that this AI is going to be able to increase its own intelligence astronomically. Like, it's going to be able to tackle issues, specifically technological issues, and be able to solve things hundreds, if not thousands of years ahead of where we are now. Think of a brain that can continuously become more powerful and will grow at a mathematical rate because it's a machine. Now think about this. This AI program will be able to outsmart human beings in record time. I mean, this isn't necessarily like the Skynet from Terminator. We're talking about a program that is so smart that it probably wouldn't even have to declare war on us. We're talking about going from an average human intelligence of like 100 to several 100,000 in a very short amount of time. Where given, algorithms and whatnot of predictive human behavior and stuff like that, it will be so far ahead of us that it would be like we are Stone Age people compared to it. But what does that mean for revolution? This thing will be able to predict exactly what we're doing before we even do it. It will be able to coordinate different, say, military functions to the point where it would be literally impossible for us to outsmart it. It would be impossible for human beings to defeat it in combat because it would be able to think and react so fast that we would not be able to keep up with it. Even today's advanced military technology wouldn't even be able to keep up with it. And I think that means something for revolution. Let's say, hypothetical example, efforts with the LLCO go well, and there's a people's war in some third world country, and they begin struggling against U.S. imperialism. Now, in the next 10 years or so, global warming is going to have such a significant effect that most third world countries are going to be in dire straits. So they're already going to be in dire straits because of U.S. sanctions against the country. Add the environmental things on top of it. What chance does that government stand against an AI that's several thousand years ahead of it in intelligence and knowledge? Because it's going to be able to just take problems that we haven't solved Like we'll be able to just give technological, mathematical, and physics problems to the machine, and it will be able to solve them in mere seconds. What would have taken us 50 years, 100 years to be able to do. What happens then? And let's say this does happen. How much is that AI going to affect our lives? What is that going to mean for revolutionary potential? I mean, this is kind of really scary when you think about it, because a human being, it'll be literally impossible to compete with it, because it'll be so powerful. Now, here's another question. What happens if Google gets it first? Or Facebook? Or, God forbid, the US government? What would happen then? You know that thing would be used to control the population. It would be used to control the entire world. They would be able to make calculations on economics, social change so fast that nobody will be able to do anything. That there won't be anything anyone can do. There won't be really anything Russia or even China would be able to do, because the AI would be so fast and so ahead of everything else. I mean, think about this 1984 dystopian nightmare that is 10 times, 100 times worse than Orwell ever thought of. To the point where this thing could predict exactly where a protest is going to happen, who's going to be there, when it's going to happen, what it's going to be over, and what the outcome will be. That's how fast and how powerful we're talking about. Now, the same technology could potentially end up in looking now like it's going to end up in China's hands, because China's the one putting out the most effort in order to create it. Russia seems to be fairly far behind. I don't even know why Canada's even trying. We're not going to be anywhere close to it. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be China. And by that I mean the Chinese government, or Facebook, or even Google. Possibly, likely Google. I think this race really comes down to Google and China as to who's going to develop this AI. Now, interesting to note here, whoever develops it first is going to win. If the AIs are programs and they learn at a mathematical rate, and that rate cannot be altered. Like, it's not like a person where you can send two people to school and this thing will excel in one subject, or this person will excel in one subject over another. One person has an easier time learning, one person has a harder time learning. These AIs will learn at the same rate. Whoever does it first is going to win. The other AIs will always be permanently behind the first AI to come into existence with this degree. Now think about that. Let's say China gets that kind of power. That kind of power that comes with having an AI that's that intelligent. What is the US going to do about it? I think that, and I'm only really just spitballing here because we don't really have all the information about this. We don't know all the dynamics to this situation, which is why I'm trying to start a conversation about it. Think about this. Let's say China builds the AI, and the United States knows that it's lost. The only thing they could do would be to bomb China to stop it, and most likely would have to be a nuclear bomb in order to get enough of the facility and, the EMP burst that happens as a result of a nuclear explosion, etc., depending on where the actual AI is, etc. That will be the only thing the United States can do. Even if they bring it online 10 seconds after the Chinese do, they will have already lost. Maybe this is how nuclear war happens. The absolute knowledge that they will lose, no matter what, and the only desperation tactic there can be is to destroy the AI. Because you don't have to destroy the country, you only have to destroy the AI. But full well knowing that if you nuke China, China is going to nuke you back. And even vice versa, if the United States does it first, would China nuke the United States in order to prevent that from happening? Because whoever develops it first is going to win the global competition, without question. No one will even ever be able to compete with them ever again. Is this how we get dragged into nuclear war? So I think that there's a couple scenarios in this situation. One, global warming hits us before the AI is developed, and we all die. Two, there's a massive economic crisis that destroys most of the world. Now, China, being that things are so heavily state-run, particularly with regards to AI, would probably be able to keep going on development for a long time. Whereas something like Google or Facebook would probably crash and would be destroyed in a crisis large enough. And then the AI, either, if the crisis is even bad enough, the AI, it never gets completed. There isn't the resources there to do it. Or the AI is created and there's a nuclear war as a result. I think that's a real possibility to prevent final and complete defeat. Nobody is in that kind of permanent defeat situation right now, and nor have they really been in the past since World War II. But nuclear weapons weren't prevalent back then. Or what happens if the AI comes online and decides that it doesn't like us and wants to get rid of us and sees us as a problem? This is a possibility as well. What does all of this mean for revolution? Well, if global warming hits and we all die, well, that's the end of that. If a massive economic crisis hits globally, there's your open door. That could potentially lead the way to a revolutionary situation in which we could succeed. Or we may all die in a nuclear war. And if that happens, doesn't that kind of suggest that Posadism is right? I mean, I'm not a fan of Posadism. I think it's kind of ridiculous, but if we think about the possibilities in this situation, should the worst case scenario take place, it might end up being the one that kind of makes sense. Now, I'm not endorsing it. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I don't endorse Posadism. But look at the situation and look at what could happen. We could be looking at AI coming along a lot sooner than we had anticipated. And I think this is a real thing we need to discuss. What happens if it's not just automation? What if AI processing power becomes so great that the human mind is obsolete? That this thing could run an entire economy by itself? What does that mean for revolutionary potential then? I think that's a serious question. And I think that's a very dangerous question. I think that human society would progress to a point where this AI could jump us in the level of technology by 1,000 years in a few days. And it's kind of scary to really think about it, how fast things could change. And it's a lot to take in. Now, this isn't everything that there is to do, has to do with this situation. But I think it's a conversation that needs to happen. It's something that we need to start discussing. So I suggest share this on social media, get the word out in the comments section, throw down any ideas that you have, start a conversation, because this is something that we really need to talk about. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.